Next we have GP lens base curve selection. We will understand how to select the initial base curve for the GP lens. Before going forward, first we need to understand what is base curve. Base curve is basically the back surface curvature of a GP lens. Suppose this is your eye and you put a GP lens on the eye. So this is the front surface of the GP lens, this is the back surface of the GP lens. This surface of the GP lens basically lies on the cornea. So the curvature of this posterior surface or back surface of the GP lens is known as base curve. It is expressed as radius of curvature in millimeter units. For example, we can say the base curve of a contact lens is 7.5 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 7.8 millimeter, or 8.4 millimeters. Next, the most important rule, smaller radius, smaller the value in millimeter, steeper will be the surface, and larger the radius, flatter will be the surface. For example, we have three values here, 7.50, 7.80, 8.40. So the most steeper surface will be 7.5 and most flattest surface will be 8.4 millimeters. Next is how we can select the base curve. We can select the base curve from keratometry readings. We can also use corneal topography. We also take into account corneal astigmatism and corneal shape as well for selecting the base curve of the contact lens. Understanding K readings. Usually K readings are measured in two principal corneal meridians. These two meridians are represented normally as K1 and K2, and usually the flattest surface is represented by the K1 and steeper surface is represented by the K2, and they are written as in this manner. You can see here K reading is equal to 7.80 and 8.1 millimeter. There you have two readings. One will be the flattest K and the other will be the steepest K. In this example, if we look 8.1, it shows us flattest surface. So this will be our flat K, and 7.8 will be steep K. So this is how K readings are documented. So how we can identify the flat K? Look at the 2K values, identify the larger radius, because we know that larger the radius, flatter will be the corneal surface. So as I mentioned previously, in 7.8 and 8.1, the flat K will be 8.10. Now we finally come to the formula of selecting the initial base curve, and this formula is only for spherical GP lens. You know, we have different type of GP lenses like toric GP lenses, back surface toric, front surface toric, or bitoric. So every type of lens has a different criteria for selecting the initial base curve. In this video we are focused only on the spherical GP lens. So the formula is flat K plus minus 0.1 millimeter. What does that mean? That means that if we have corneal keratometric readings 7.8 and 8.1, the first step will be to identify the flat K. The flat K in this case is 8.1. So 8.1 is the flat K. Now I can add or I can subtract 0.1 millimeter depending upon what I like. So if I subtract 0.1, it will be 8, or if I add 0.1, it will be 8.2. So it is practitioner's choice whether to use 8 millimeter or 8.2 millimeter as a starting base curve in this particular patient. I usually prefer the flatter reading, so I would have chosen 8.2 millimeter in this case. And do remember that this is just the starting point. This is your initial base curve, not necessarily the final base curve, because the final base curve depends upon a lot other characteristics such as corneal shape, amount of corneal astigmatism, lens design, and what are the manufacturer's guideline for fitting or dispensing lenses. Let's do an example. We have a patient with K reading 7.8 and 8 millimeter. So the flat K will obviously be the value which is greater in millimeter, that would be 8. So 8 is our flattest k, and using the basic flat key approach, initial base curve again plus or minus, it would be 7.9 or 8.1. This is your starting base curve for GP lens. Example 2, here we have 7.6 and 7.9. So the flat case 7.9. Again, if you add zero point 0.1, it will become 8, or if you subtract zero point 0.1, it will become 7.8. So you can choose either 7.8 or 8 millimeter base curve of the contact lens. And this flat gate does not automatically means that it will be the final base curve. Once you have choose the base curve, you put the lens into the eye and then examine its behavior on the eye, look for the fluorescent patterns, and then decide whether you're gonna stick to that particular base curve or you need to change the base curve. If we see strip fitting, we need to flat the lens, so we will increase the value of the base curve. And if we see the flat fitting, then we obviously need to decrease the value to make a lens more steeper. So we will choose a base curve with a small radius of curvature as compared to the initial base curve.